shows a series of good workouts, and I assume if she's fit and ready, she's so fresh, I assume she'll show terrific speed today.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think she's just in a little tough with Lady Ave and Light Up the Devil. I mean, otherwise, I'd like her in this spot as well. I've got her third also. You know, I went Lady Ave's way. I finally bit the bullet. I wouldn't say bit the bullet, but I finally took the plunge, you might say, and picked her last time, thinking she might take to the mile, but obviously she detested it. Has had a couple of weeks off, comes back, gets back to her best lick, if you will. I like the fact that she can chase the pace. She finishes well. Even last summer, she was able to kind of sit just slightly off of it and finish, and yet she's got a good turn of foot to where, you know, if a Bebop Baby or somebody who has comparable speed or that gets away bad, she might be able to win on the front end. Mm-hmm. Very tough call for me. I went with her over Light Up the Devil. I love the fact Light Up the Devil ran that good second against Open Company and faces Texas breds today. It was a coin flip for me, but I went 4-5.
Yeah, they have identical running styles. I think Lady Ave and Light Up the Devil, I assume they'll be shoulder to shoulder. If they both break well, I think they'll be very close together from start to finish, I would think.
The fact that Light Up the Devil is a little bit fresher is intriguing, and you know, Lady Ave's cranking out a lot of races here this meet.
True.
On to the 8th. This is what I subtitled this to make notes for myself, the Battle of the Arkansas Breds. This race could almost be run at Hot Springs as an Arkansas bred race. As far as the contention, I think Scarlett O'Hana, This Girl Does, and Tap It Right all have chances in here, and they're all Arkansas breds. These are bottom-level maiden claiming fillies.
Yeah, I settled on the 6, Tap It Right, just because I think she has better speed than the rest of them in here. And this race is only at 5/8 of a mile. It's hit the board in 5 consecutive races. 4 of those for Ellen Milligan. Was claimed by Broberg 2 starts back. First start for Carl. She finishes second. The winner of the race, Hatchet Girl, was 4-5 winner for J.R. Caldwell. No Hatchet Girl in here, so I think she has a slight edge because I think she's the one to catch at this distance. Mine Redemption is my second selection. You know, she showed good speed and was very competitive, going 6 1/2 and 7 furlongs at Houston. Last start here at Lone Star Park, she finished behind Tap It Right, finishing third, but she did, you know, beat her to the front that day. Cuts back a half a furlong, and, you know, obviously she's a threat. And the one horse, Scarlett O'Hana, yet another Arkansas bred. Also had some traffic trouble on the turn, finishing third in a maiden $7,500 race. Also was entered July 2nd and scratched, I assume in favor of this one. And, oh, my goodness, another J.R. Caldwell I picked third. How about that?
Well, and I've had trouble getting on the same page with JR too. So if he has a good day, we might not. But
right.
I'm taking a shot in here. I'm using the philosophy that these horses are at the bottom for a reason, and now I think I should have my head examined for picking against Tap It Right, because there are a lot of very positive factors in her favor. But I think she's going to be a really short price. She raced at this bottom level on June 13th and still didn't get it done. Granted, Hatchet Girl broke very sharply and ran a nice race that day. And what's inconsistent about my handicapping is I picked Hatchet Girl in the very next race that we're going to get to on the 9th. And yet somehow I'm diminishing that race here to pick against Tap It Right. So that's why you need to have your head examined sometimes. But I'm going with This Girl Does, the 4. You know, this filly didn't even register a Beyer fig in 3 of her first 4 races. Those were all in Hot Springs against Arkansas breds. Then she came here and caught a really tough maiden special field. Markup, Lemuse, Aiden Ike. You know, they're all, I mean, Lemuse has turned out to be kind of a disappointment, but they're all nice fillies. And she was up with them using the philosophy you used yesterday with that Alejandro Valdez horse that ran with really tough maidens for like the first 2 points of call and then backed out of it.
Backed way out of it.
This filly did the same thing. You know, she was right up with Lemuse and Markup to the upper stretch and then threw in the towel. She gets to go shorter this time. She's worked a couple times since. I'm going to give her a shot with the theory that these horses don't repeat their form. But still in all, Mine Redemption tossed the May 23rd and the March 25th race, which were on turf and on sealed tracks. And, I mean, her form puts her right there. Tap It Right, obviously, you know, has the best last race Beyer by a wide margin. So We'll see. Not real confident about that pick, but I'd love to see that filly, produce a good effort at least at a decent price. Scratch the 6, Repo Girl from the 9th. On to the 9th here. This is basically the previous race, but for fillies that scratched out a maiden win somewhere along the way. It's the same claiming price. It's non-winners of 2, and it is 5/8 of a mile. It's even the same distance.
You didn't pick Murak in this race?
No, I didn't. In fact, I picked her 4th in this race.
Wow. I feel bad picking her 3rd. I really feel like she's going to be favored, and for good reasons. I guess we're both taking a shot here.
I'm
so good for us.
I'm taking a shot with my question with Murak is she quick enough to win at 5/8? I mean, on paper, especially her sprint form is pretty good. Her main track sprint form, if you can cut through all the clutter of turf races and 2 turns and sloppy tracks, her 1-turn main track races are solid. I just wonder if she's fast enough. And this 5/8 is, it's a battle of speed, and I don't think she's really got it. But on paper, she does make a lot of sense.
She does, because her buyers are consistently faster than anything else in this race. So I assumed you would probably take what you might have thought was a layup, but I see you're getting inventive again.
I'm kicking out for a 3 rather than the layup.
There you go. Doha is my top pick. This is my long shot pick of the day. Those 2 races are as 2-year-olds. You got to remember that. That's why the buyer figures are very misleading when you're looking at midsummer 3-year-old form, and you're looking at what she did as a 2-year-old. One at first asking, it's one of Jim's 1040 winners last meet. He was smart enough to come up with this one last year. Then they tried, obviously, a restricted stake. Candy Ginger, etc. I mean, that field was way too much. She did battle, though, for half a mile, then gave up. Something obviously happened. She's been on the bench for quite some time, but I've been lucky enough to be there when she's breezed a couple times. May 29th, I have her faster than her workmate that day. The Gatework's really deceptive because they finished really fast after going really slow in the mud on the front side of this Gatework. So, I made mention of that. Has a 48-3, a 48-3, and then last time out, June 27th, I was not there that morning, fastest of 38. I just feel like Nathan Wallace has her training really well, and obviously we're at the bottom of the condition claiming rank, so she doesn't have to run a big race to win. So I'm going to take Doha as an upsetter in here. I am interesting is my next selection. Only one for 17. That's why I didn't pick her. Was a nice maiden winner at Houston, drawn off to win by 4 1/2 furlongs at 5 and winning by 4 1/2 at 5 1/2 furlongs. And then after a couple poor races, really came back to life on June 14th here, showing improved early speed. Finished second, and it was 4 lengths back to third. I thought that was a really nice race, so I thought I'd make her 8-1 and pick her second. And then the horse I assume will go favored, and maybe heavily favored, is Murak. It's Steve Asmussen. It's the best buyers in the field, easily dropping to the lowest level of her career. Again, for the best of connections, one concern, and it's not a big concern because we see it more and more year to year, no workouts, since that race May 29th. But I don't keep track of how these horses do because every day we mention this about probably one horse a day, and I wish I had stats on horses that haven't had to work, say 5-6 weeks out. They've actually are they winning anyway? Or are they vulnerable? I don't know.
Yeah, that's something you need to go back and reanalyze because I haven't either. That's really unusual for that barn, I think. For a Broberg or some other barns, not unusual at all. There's a bunch of trainers. Caldwell doesn't train a lot, race to race, but Asmussen usually does. But I went with Hatchet Girl. I love the way she broke last time, and she kind of let the speed go and sat. I mean, she outbroke that field the way and then let them go and sat third, and won like a good thing at the bottom level. She seems to be better off Lasix since J.R. Caldwell took her off Lasix. She's put together a string of pretty good performances for this level, and I liked her style, and so I'm going to take her. Fancy Blaze. I don't know how she ended up on the front end last time. I mean, she probably has the lowest time form pace figure for a front-running winner of the year. I mean, she has a 64 time form pace figure, found herself on a lonely lead on the mud on June 7th. But Poseidon's Magic, that was a bad field. I mean, I shouldn't say the word bad. That was not a talented field. Poseidon's Magic broke in the air that day and was a heavy favorite. So I don't know. I didn't know what to make of that, but I thought she's in good form with Calhoun. He wins a quarter of the time with last out winners. Miss Mess is that filly that was bought as a yearling, sold for less as a 2-year-old, 3 times has been claimed for at a deficit from what they claimed her for. So she has been a deficit situation, and she has no work since May 29th either, so I busted her down to 3rd. I actually took Morak 4th.
Okay.
Which might, again, require my head to be examined. But, these 2 races, I think, are basically, a prequel and a sequel to each other, the 8th and 9th. So
it's unusual to see a filly break first so often, Hatchet Girl. I mean, 3 consecutive ones, and then at Houston, a 1 and a pair of 2s. So she breaks best or almost best every single time, which is a great asset.
In this type of race, that's a big reason why I picked her.
Yeah.
10th and final, this is a really good race. I mean, they're, ready to roll in half hours to keep, or a couple of those horses you bang your head against the wall saying, when are they finally going to put it together? I think you're on a really likely winner here in Sweet Medicine, but I'm going to give half hours to keep with the blinkers off a shot in this turf race.
Yeah, Sweet Medicine, you should love. Finished second last time out. You like Newscaster.
I do.
Not as much as our Equibase guy, but you love Newscaster. And Jack the Ripper, who finished behind her, just won yesterday. Do you like Jack the Ripper? I mean,
I picked Jack the Ripper yesterday,
you
but
did.
Unfortunately, I made this pick before I knew Jack the Ripper was going to win. But, yeah.
Okay.
And I love second off layoffs,
yeah.
too. I like everything about Sweet Medicine, but somehow I wrote a 2 next to his name.
Maybe the fact she's only won 2 of 3 and finished second the other time on turf. Maybe that's why you didn't like.
And has all of his best buyers are on turf.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some others in here with credentials.
There are.
I mean, I don't think he's necessarily going to be like 6 to 5.
Oh no, I made him 3 to 1 because there's so much talent in this field. It just, I just feel like he's the most likely winner. Is what I feel.
So too. What's interesting with him is he comes out of an A other than, won by Newscaster very nicely. Half hours to keep and ready to roll, and Alex June come out of another A other than on the turf. A little bit longer race, won by Jailhouse Kitten. Which race is going to be more definitive? Which race is going to be liver, if you will?
Yeah. Well, one of them are cutting back, and the other stretching out just to 16th. So I don't know how important that is. The 3 ready to roll, who's been, had several chances, been close, just keeps knocking on the door. That 1 for 13 record. I still think this horse deserves to take a lot of money. It was 2 to 1 at the same level last time. I got him 7 to 2 today. And half hours to keep Jim's selection, finished 3rd to Jailhouse Kitten. A very good performance. Blinkers off, a really good angle for Broberg, 25% winners. He's had 10 races on turf, no wins yet. That was kind of my reasoning for going elsewhere.
Yeah, I could see that. He's been knocking heads with Heart Attack and Coliquist, and, of course, so is Ready to Roll. To me, it was a really tough call. I lean toward half hours to keep, hoping to get Broberg at a little bit of a price. And I really like Brobergs that have a couple of weeks off. He does very well turning them back fast, but this horse had a couple of weeks off. And so really, I thought that was a pretty good effort the other day. He hung late, but, I thought he ran a pretty nice race. Maybe taking the blinkers off, he'll compete a little bit more. I gave him a slight edge over Sweet Medicine and Ready to Roll. But the horse that is intriguing to me is the 10 Alex June. I kind of like this horse a couple races back. And then on June 18th, 20 to 1, he dropped 17 lengths off the pace. I mean, we had to zoom out so far on the pan shot just to see him early in the race. And he really did legitimately close. Now he goes to Richard Aramia. Unless the horse just absolutely will not run early, I think Aramia might get him up into the race a little bit better. And he ran a really nice race in the Jailhouse Kitten race, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him pop.
Yeah, he's shown route speed at Oaklawn, in a couple main track races. But, man, they've really taken him back the last 2 races. So
and
maybe they'll send away from there today.
Alex June is the horse that I wanted to pick even higher than I did, but I couldn't quite pull the trigger.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're 28 minutes to post, so we stretched this baby to about 40 minutes. But hopefully we gave you some good information.
A lot to say. Good racing today.
Should be a really fun day. Stay with us, obviously, on track here afterward for the fireworks, and thanks for looking in.